Or I think so. Yeah. All right. Call to order the Oroville Citizens Oversight Committee at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Committee Member Goodson, Committee Member Smith,
Here?
Committee Member Grover, Committee Member Flicker, Committee Member Malone, Committee Member Castro, Committee Member Seychow, Committee Member Quintel, Committee Member French.
Okay, let's stand for the pledge. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Regular business. I see that we don't have anyone from the public. Well, we have one, but is she wanting this? And then public communication, I assume we don't have no.
Mr. Chairperson, we do not have any public speaker cards.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving right on to then regular business. We need to address the selection of a chair and a vice chair. Earlier today, I did a review to see who is up this next year and then who was going to continue on to 2025. But before I talk about that, does anyone want to make a recommendation or have anything to say about selection of the chair and vice chair? Yeah, so in review of that, there are, well, technically three that are going for the next couple of years, and that would be Committee Member Malone and Committee Member David Quintel. So I would like to make a recommendation, and then Ms. French, of course, but she's more new to the. Yes, and so just given that, I think I would like to make a recommendation that for the chair, that would be Committee Member Malone, and for the vice chair, Mr. Quintel. He would decline. Okay. Do we have any other recommendations for the vice chair? Well, now, and the reason why I'm going here is because, you know, given the elections that just occurred, and of course we have a new mayor that's coming aboard, and that the mayor has the prerogative of selecting committee members, given the council will then ratify that. But the reason why I was pulling and we don't necessarily have to do this, but the reason why I was going here is just to kind of have a clean slate. So there's nothing left out hanging. We don't necessarily have to deal with this today. We can put it off and see where things go.
Can we do the chair today?
We can do that.
Are you interested?
Yeah, sure, I'll sit in here.
And then the vice chair could possibly be one of the city council members.
Typically, yes. Mm-hmm.
Who are other gentlemen here? Okay.
Yeah, Seychow, yeah.
You're missing Committee Member Goodson, Castro, Seychow.
And are either of them?
I believe that they are also part of the 2023 cycle. So what'll happen is you guys, closer to the term expiration, I usually send out a letter saying, are you interested in serving another term, with a deadline, and you can either tell me yes or no in a letter, and then I send it to the council, and then they'll approve those, or approve or deny those that want to continue on, and then we'll open up a recruitment for the vacant positions.
Well, I don't mind serving.
And this,
Who else is going to be
This appointment is through June of 2023. It just happened to be late because we've had to cancel a couple meetings.
Yeah, part of my thing is that just so that the next committee doesn't have to necessarily grapple with that. It just helps with the smoother process. But it's not absolutely necessary, so,
Just trying to help, I don't care.
yeah. So do we have a motion then, given that?
I move that we,
Have a second? Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Committee Member Smith,
Yes?
Committee Member Grover, Committee Member Flicker, Committee Member Malone, No. Committee Member Quintel, Committee Member French. Okay. Motion carries with 6 yeses and 3 absent.
Okay, moving right along. Approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? We have a motion to accept the minutes.
What's that?
Discussion?
Any discussion? Any changes? No? Okay.
Committee
Roll
Member
call.
Committee Member Smith,
Yes?
Committee Member Grover, Committee Member Flicker, Committee Member Malone, Committee Member Quintel, Committee Member French.
Yes.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 3 absent.
Great. Okay. Update of revenue and expenses for Measure U district tax. It looks like Ruth, you're up.
Yes, I'm on. Good evening, committee members. And what I passed out to you is a accounting of our district tax fund for a whole year, the year that ended June 30, 2022. So I think the last time we met was in February, and we went through probably just December at that time. So this is another 6 months, and it gives you a nice snapshot of how we did in the prior year. So I'll start with the revenues. We budgeted roughly $7.5 million, and we actually got $7.7 million. And I included the prior year $7.3 million, just to show you that we surpassed both the last year actual and our budget expectations. I did want to note towards the end where you see the July and August. August was projected to be over 700,000, and it came in, I think it was 799 actually, and it came in 100,000 less. So I just wanted to point that out because, you know, we're looking for things to slow down. We're looking for indicators to show us if we're going to be able to rely on this revenue, or if any spending habits or talks of recession or indicators are out there. So we did see August come in a lot lower than we expected, but overall we still beat our budget and we still beat last year. So we're doing very well with our sales tax. So next I'll go, the bottom part is all of our expenditures for a whole year. We have the administration, and that is a admin assistant, and we surpassed our budget a little bit by $3,000. We have in there janitorial for City Hall. It came in at 64% of budget. Planning came in way under. We have a hard time. We're still having, I know you're probably tired of hearing it, but we're still having a hard time filling vacancies. And if I could talk about that just for a minute, I have 2 vacancies in the finance department, and we ran a recruitment for 4 weeks, and we got 6 applicants, but out of the 6 applicants, we only had 2 to interview, and they both were supposed to come in this morning, and neither one showed up. So, it's really hard to fill positions around here. Yeah. So we're putting that back on the website. Didn't
Wow.
even call back, but I feel like because it was open for 4 weeks, and then someone was on vacation, and then the holiday at 6 weeks, people might have found other jobs. It's just too long. So we're going to try a new approach. We're going to put it out there as continuous and interview people as we feel they're qualified, and just try to just keep it open until it's filled, and maybe we can get people before they find another job. I don't know if that's it, but anyway, I just want to let you know it's really hard to fill positions right now. They're not lined up out the door waiting to get in here. It's really hard. So anyway, back to the expenditures. The planning department, we only spent $10,000 for the whole year, so that was only 12% of their budget. Code enforcement, we did okay. We did 63% of the budget. There's still some vacancies, but I have to tell you, currently I've seen a lot of new people in there, a little bit of turnover. So they're doing really good filling those vacancies. What's that? Yeah, I was going to go over that. So this was last year, and there's only 280,000 budgeted for last year. We beefed that up, and I'll show you when I give you the update of the current year. And so there's a budget of about almost $1 million. And so, yeah, there's 6 technicians and a director, I believe, and an admin assistant. So that makes 8. So, but this is last year, and we didn't have all that budgeted in there. So that was only 63%. So a police, we were at 67. Fire, we were at 63. Public Works, pretty darn close to 100. Streets, that's where we budget the $1.5 million for street repairs, because we're trying to beef up our repairs for streets, and it didn't get spent at all. So that's why streets is so low. Parks and trees were... No. So what happens there is we have an annual pavement project in the city, and they identify all the streets they're going to do, and it's a nice list. We have about 5 different funding sources for road projects, street projects, and repairs. And we have a lot of money in the other funds as well, so this just did not get spent this year.
As I understand it, a lot of it's hung up in engineering.
Yes.
That's what Bill was saying, for
Yeah,
various
and
reasons. And,
another
again, all
problem-
this other delay issues
Yeah.
across the board,
Yeah.
it spills into this as well.
Yep. And we also, it's a little bit of a problem for me because their pavement season is spring to fall, and I'm doing my budgeting on a calendar year, so it's really hard to catch it. But we did not spend the $1.5 million that was budgeted in this fund this year, so that's why that's so low. Parks and trees. No. It was for the pavement project. So no, sidewalks was somewhere else. And I noticed that is happening in this current year, 22-23. The capital projects or capital improvements fund, and I'll get into that in a little bit too. So parks and trees, we're almost at half. And then here's where we are doing our transfers. So we're transferring $1.5 million from our capital to our capital asset replacement fund and our capital improvement fund, and then 1.5 to reserves. We're trying to build up our reserves. And so with all said, we spent 6.3. We took in 7.7, spent 6.3, so we had a surplus of 1.3 million. And we had a beginning fund balance of about 5, and so our ending fund balance was 6.2 for the year. So that's where we were at year end, and I'm going to pass out now the first 3 months of 22-23.
Thank you.
So you can see, and I really think we need to pay a lot of attention to this. You can really see the first two remittances for the year are a lot lower than last year. Yeah, so I think we need to just kind of watch that. I mean, we've had this started in April of 2019, and every year we've taken in a lot more than we've budgeted. So we've never expected as much money as we're getting from this fund. And I really think at some point we're going to see a downturn. I mean, that's just kind of the way it's got to be. So, I mean, we took in 7.7 last year, and we have a budget of 7.8. And that might be too high this year. I'm not sure. But looking at the first two remittances compared to the prior year is definitely down. And so I think we just need to watch that really close. But we are starting with a fund balance of 6.2 million. So we have a cushion just in case we don't get the revenue, and we can adjust next year. So the bottom half of your form is the expenditures for the first 3 months. I think, like I explained in the last one, the code enforcement budget went from 280 to 900,000. So this is where we beefed up the code enforcement technicians. And I do think they've had more luck filling those positions. I think that Ron's keeping that pretty well staffed. So you probably should see that to run pretty actual to what our budget is. Police, so we're 33% of the year, and we've only spent 13% of police, so that's low. Public Works was already at 100%, so I asked staff what was going on there, and they had put in a new position, and so I said that we probably should move that new position to the general fund since it wasn't budgeted here. So that'll be adjusted on your next one, but I didn't want to adjust it on here until it was actually fixed. Streets, there's 1.5 million in that budget for road repairs. Hopefully we can get that done this year. And parks and trees at 17%, and I do believe that's from vacancies. So the capital assets fund, yeah, that's in here. Yep. Yeah, it's almost $1 million budget, but I know that the council just approved another contract of $120,000 for tree service, so that'll come right out of here, and I think they've already got to work on that. And so the last three items on expenditures are the transfers, and nothing's been transferred. I usually do that in December and again in June. I just do half and half. So we've spent almost $700,000 out of a $10 million budget. And I was asked by somebody, why is the expenditure budget $10 million when we only expect 7.8? But I'm trying to spend the surplus that we have because we're sitting on $6.2 million. So we should be budgeting more than our revenues to try to keep it zero because we have the general fund for everything else. So, we have a lot of potential here to do more things.
Like the public voted to increase the sales tax for public safety, but we can't spend it.
Right, and I really feel that's because of the position we're in, the pandemic, and the not being able to fill the vacancies. If we could fill the vacancies, I think we could spend it. And so, yeah, we do have a lot of consultants that are trying to help us. And I know that we did consult with one engineering firm. Well, now we're consulting with three, trying to spread the workaround just to try to get more done. So, and it's still slow. It's very, very
The
hard to
one
get.
bright shining star, though, is the code enforcement. The code enforcement, which we have been able to,
Yeah,
fully staff that, and Ron's done an amazing job, so.
yeah, he really has. So as it stands now, we've taken in 1.2 million for the year, and we've spent almost 7. We started at our 6.2, so we're at about 6.8 million in that fund right now. So I just wanted to show you real quick. These are the positions that are included in that fund, because I know it's hard to see when I just give you a summary. So we have an administrative assistant. That was what is going under administration. We just changed out the code enforcement manager to a code enforcement director, so there's really no change here. We have an associate planner. Right now, I believe that just got changed. Council changed that. I believe that's going to be a consultant too. And we had 6 code enforcement technicians coming out of here. And there's the assistant. So there's the 8 positions that we were talking about for code enforcement. We have a custodian for City Hall, 1 sergeant and 6 police officers, 4 park maintenance technicians, and we're divvying up the civil engineer between different departments, and we have not been able to fill that position. It's still vacant. And a public works operator too. So we have 26.4 positions that are allocated to this fund. So, yeah. Are you talking about the planning? The civil engineer. Yeah. This is the ones that were budgeted. Yeah, definitely. There's more, but I know that he's having a hard time staffing the police department as well. Yeah, we've lost quite a few there. I know we were losing some that were going to places that were paying more and paying for bonuses and things like that. So, yeah. So HR is currently putting out a salary survey to see how we compare to local agencies, and we might be having to adjust our salaries to keep people and retain people and attract people. Yeah. There's that too. Yeah, exactly.
You know what, it would be interesting to see the amount of positions that are actually budgeted.
And vacant. I knew somebody was going to ask me that. As soon as I put this up, I'm like, yeah, I don't have that, but I'll definitely do that for next time. Because I knew you would ask. I just,
Where they are, yeah.
So how many do you think are short?
What's that? I think we're full on code enforcement, but I think, judging by our spending, we're definitely short on police.
Yeah.
We're definitely short on the streets, the maintenance technicians, and a public works operator. I would have. I would have to get that for you. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's really sad. And I'm feeling it right now in the finance department too. I just can't find anybody. But so the next handout that I made for you, it's really busy and it's small, but we're doing these transfers to other funds. So I wanted you to see how they're being spent in the other funds. So I have done this recap of our capital asset replacement fund. And then this has gone to council, and I want you to see what kind of things we're buying with that money.
Toys.
It's so small.
There is.
It's necessary to.
Be conservative. So these are all the toys that could be
Yes.
appreciated. Yeah.
I felt like all the information we need is, because the total.
I appreciate you putting it on.
Are funded in different funds, so I thought that was important to have all the information, and I'll get back to you. So another problem with this is the police vehicles are a carryover from the prior year. And across the board, these dump trucks they're going to go to council next Tuesday. They were in the budget last year for 62,000. We don't receive them because everything's on back order. The same with the police cars. They were in the budget for like 47. Yeah, they're not honoring those quotes. So the dump trucks that were in there for 62,000 are going back to council on Tuesday because now they want 73,000. And the same with the police cars. We had to, I don't know. It's really bad, and we need that many cars, so it just compounds the problem. But then they don't come in, and they carry over to another budget. So hopefully we can buy all these things this year, but I'm not sure. So we have 8 police vehicles that we're trying to buy from last year. We have 4 new ones, but one's for code enforcement. So anyway, 14 total police vehicles we're trying to buy. And the radios are coming out of another fund. Fire got a new truck and some radios and breathing apparatuses. Code enforcement got 2 Ford Escapes and 2 Ford F-150s. Public Works, 2 trucks and 2 dump trucks. Planning got a vehicle, and that did come in. So that is a question for council. That is nothing that it's an Explorer. Yeah, that was council approved. We spent almost 500,000 on a Vector, and that did come in September, but that came out of the sewer fund. So you can see the first column are the things that are coming out of or are being provided for with funds from the district tax fund. So in streets, they had a lot of things in here this year. A street sweeper that did finally come in. That was carryover from the prior year. A backhoe, a grader, anyway. So these are the kind of things that we're buying with the transfers that go into the capital asset replacement fund. And I want to do the same thing for the capital improvements, but that one's not done yet. So oh, the aerial lift?
I thought we gave that up.
Oh. If we bought it, it was last year because it's not on this list, but I can look into that to see when we bought it and how much. Yeah.
P31's doing.
Yeah, we have a contract with P31 and also
Tree of Life.
Tree of Life. Yeah. So we have 2 contracts. They just approved another one because there's that much work. They're getting through. Yeah.
Yeah, trees keep growing.
They
so.
do.
Yeah. And then I asked right at that moment, the council approved that, can it please come out of the district tax fund? And they said yes, so that's where it is. So that concludes my handouts and explanations, but I'm happy to answer questions. I did try to spend a little time and figure out some new ways to look at this, or if I could
presented in a different way that would be more interesting. I like to look at things in a different way, so I tried to print out like a check request, or no, a check register, so you could see all the things that but it doesn't include payroll. So it didn't really match up with my numbers, and so I'll still play around and see if I can't. Sometimes it's just nice to look at it in a graph or something else. But I know you're used to seeing it this way, so I prepared it this way you've been used to. Yeah.
If
Sure.
I may, on the sales fund fiscal year 21, 22 through June 30th, the first one, I believe that you brought. You said we were budgeted for over 700 for August, and we were coming in short. Did you mention that?
Yes.
That we were coming in under at 699?
Yeah.
So what I was curious about was last year's August revenue.
It's on there. It was 381
So if it was 381, why would we budget for 7?
because that's what the forecast showed. We have a sales tax consultant that gives us projections and forecasts. We were forecasted to get 799, and it didn't come in.
Even though it was only 381 the prior
Yeah.
year? So he was saying it's going to be almost
So
double.
it's a really hard to tie these because a lot of times the sales tax is a true up. So they're giving us an estimate what they think we're going to have, and then at the end of the quarter they do a true up. So that's very low, and I think it might have to do with the pandemic. And the true up was just very low. They were expecting $799 to come in the current year, and we got 100,000 less. And then if you look at that trend, the next two remittances in the next year are much lower than last year too. So I think we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, because the 381, and just to go back to that one again, just seems so low.
Yeah.
That if it's all budgeted based on an expectation of an analysis,
It's 2 months of like budget and then a month of true up. What the California Tax and Fee Board gets, then they true it up. So it's really interesting the way they do it.
I don't see where consumer spending has stopped yet or even really slowed too much. And with the prices, everything higher, the revenue should just naturally come in higher.
Right, but when there's no cars available to buy, that affects it a lot too.
Oh, yeah. Do we buy our cars in town?
All of these.
All
on
of
here.
these?
Uh,
Is that why
any
they
car
could
that
raise
we
the price
can,
$13,000 on a truck?
some of it comes back to us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we put them to bid or we just give them all locally?
We don't go to bid. It's like a fleet kind of bid that keeps us, compliant and with the regulations. So it's legal the way we do it, and it's okay the way we do it, and I think it's preferred to buy local too. So
Yeah, it's preferred unless they're coming back saying it's gonna be $13,000 more.
and they're not honoring the quote that
Yeah,
we've
I mean,
already have, and it's not our fault we didn't get it. So
Probably
yeah,
thinking, well, they're gonna buy here no matter what, so.
yeah.
And I could be wrong. I mean,
I think
It's
we have
probably
looked at
supply and demand thing.
as far as Gridley, and it was the same. So,
I do know that you can't hardly get a truck right now.
Right.
Everything is back ordered.
Yeah, if you go out
When
and
you do
you,
get it, you're gonna pay for it.
Police vehicles, though, don't you get
Obviously,
the
huh?
government, you get the government.
yes. Yeah, there's a fleet pricing.
interesting.
yep.
So I'm always available if you ever have a question, just email me, call me, and I hope I'm providing you enough information. I know this sheet is very summarized, but I think that's kind of like a starting point. It's something you should look at. It's a whole year, and then questions come from that. Oh, thank you. I think so. But that's where our 6.2 fund balance is very nice to have. Yeah. Yeah, it'll keep us safe for a while, and then we can adjust our revenues to more realistic.
You definitely have a nice cushion.
Yes.
You know, so when that does, inevitability does occur, then you can make an adjustment.
Yeah,
and
yeah, you don't
be
want to have
okay.
no fund balance and then get hit with some decreases in revenue, then you're in trouble.
I feel as though I'm just a little frustrated that we can't spend the money on the public safety that the citizens voted to
Yeah.
approve it, and then now we can't spend it. But you're right, 2023 is probably for sure another recession, deeper. So we're gonna have these balances.
Yeah.
And the irony of
We
the,
Spend them then even.
yeah. And the irony of that cycle might actually help with hiring and kind of in the long run,
Maybe,
maybe.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's worth noting too, the general fund had a surplus as well. What's that?
Absolutely.
Everybody would.
Well, they'll
Right.
be here sometime today.
Right.
I think when we have that
there's,
study completed
Yeah.
by HR and we get that back, we might need to make some adjustments with the pay structure, compensation structure, and which might help with, you know, attracting additional officers. You know, one of the things that I learned just on that topic, because you have California Post, where officers, it's a process by which officers are approved and their trainings are certified, whatnot, through California. It's very difficult. If you ever tried to buy something from Amazon and it'll say everywhere but California. And so California Post in that process kind of puts us in the same position when we think about attracting law enforcement officers. So, you know, you think of people coming from Oklahoma or, you know, Texas or wherever, any other part of the country, it just becomes very difficult for a municipality to hire people in California because of that.
Valley, anywhere in the state. Going to the whole coast. Except laterals from other agencies for California certification.
So with all of
That's
the
too bad.
challenges with law enforcement and hiring, boy, I'm telling you, that was a wake-up call. So we may need to, again, with this information that's going to be coming from HR, we might find that by making some of those adjustments, and then again, then those dollars will probably have to come out of here, but there will be, you know, potentially some adjustments.
And
I
have-
think the problem's only money. Little kids used to grow up and want to be cops and.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you heard about the SB2? That's taking effect in January. That will affect people that we employ for police officers as well. It'll have a big impact.
As far as what, their backgrounds?
Yeah, backgrounds and qualifications.
Well, we all did something stupid when we were young.
No, I did.
I think that's gonna shake things up a bit too. It'll just make it harder for us to recruit police officers and keep them.
And there are other things, you know, this kind of getting off the topic, but there are other things that I think the council, we need to look at, will be looking at to facilitate attracting, you know, young aspiring folks to get into the, you
Yeah,
know,
there's
law
one
enforcement
council member
industry.
that's asking for a security service.
So,
Don't do it.
yeah, that's another conversation for another place, but I think there are some, you know, great conversations to come about how we can, you know, deal with that and make it more attractive. Preferably, they need to be post-certified, working for the city. That would be my druthers, I think.
Yeah, I
coming
think it's
from-
gonna be harder to be post-certified after the SB2 comes in
Well,
effect in January.
Yeah, we want professionals in this industry. I think it's very important that, you know, they hit all the high marks. We want the best and the brightest serving our community. And then, of course, we have the MLE program. That's a good funnel for new recruitments. And just to make a statement, I like to see our high schools bring back the ROP program for potential young aspiring folks to get into that industry. So, but anyway, that's another conversation. Well, do we have any other questions, comments?
I do. Can you explain just a little bit? Study that you were just talking about to find police officers. Is that what
The
you?
salaries that
That was
we're
a
talking
wage.
about. Yeah.
Wage.
Just
Is this
comparing,
an outside agency that's doing this study?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, that's all.
Yeah, so, there's a firm that I believe we've hired that will look at the compensation, but how we stack up against other, cities of like size and type, and to see if we're within the reasonable compensation for our law enforcement officials, or, employees.
I
Yep,
thought maybe
yep.
it was that, but I just wanted clarification.
Yep, so, and that's
Okay.
really important, because, if we're is it something that we're doing, or is it just bigger than, I think it's a bigger
think
issue
it's systemic.
than Oroville. Definitely it is, nationwide, but, we need to do due diligence and look at that so that we can if we need to make corrections, that we can do it appropriately. So, okay, anything else?
I'd like to make one more comment.
Yes.
Of all the items that we're funding with this Measure U, I think the one that I've been most impressed with is the code enforcement with Ron. He's done an excellent job. We had a big gap between Zollner doing his blight removal back in the day, and I know Ron's been busy. I actually did a mountain bike ride the other day, and I thought, well, let me take a ride through the hobo jungle off of Long Bar Road there, because there's always about 30 or 40 camps back in there, and I just ride right through the middle of them and just, make people stare me down, and I rode through there, and there wasn't any more camps in there.
Wow.
The dozer had been in there, and they had stuff piled up, and had black bags piled up, and tires separated, and metal separated, and they had pushed probably half of them, maybe half of them, down onto the railroad right away on the other side of the fence, so they're in a little 30-foot swath going down the railroad tracks now, but at least they're not up on all that. I think Brian Wong bought all that property up there, 220 acres or whatever it was, on where Chief Hill's house used to be, but cleaned all that up. There's nobody in there.
Nice.
And he did that, I went through there probably 2 weeks before, and they were all in there, and went back in again before Thanksgiving, and they were gone.
Nice.
So, it does. You could tell he had a big crew with him, so that was good. I give him a shout out.
Yeah, they do good work. Keep them moving, that's the name of the game. All right, anything else? Okay, so do we have a recommendation, a motion to receive this? No, we don't need that?
We were in discussion, I think, weren't we?
It was just, you're receiving it.
Just receive, okay, we don't need, okay, very good. All right, so we can adjourn it.
I think I have direction to find out more accurate numbers on vacancies next time, compared to budgeted to actual.
not just this budget, but overall.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
Okay,
The clock's behind that bird.
6, yeah. I think we can adjourn this meeting at 6:43 until February 28th, 2023. Thank you.